We had lots of things due today, and I have finished grading everything, and I want to go over some things with you. First, in some instances, a few of you believe that when you submit work and you get a grade back for that work, and you see the mistakes that you made, you are then at liberty to resubmit the work with the changes that you will make from the errors that have been corrected. That's not how it works. I'm not constantly backpedaling, grading information from the past. It's your responsibility as a student to read the instructions, follow every instruction to the letter, and submit the work. I grade the work, we move forward. The one exception for this week is going to be the My Music paragraph. It would benefit you to resubmit that paragraph with corrections that I showed to you in that paragraph. Other than My Music, no other work can now go back and be resubmitted. After the corrections for My Music for the remainder of the semester, there will be no resubmissions for any work. You're going to want to make sure you've done it correctly the first time, and I will grade the submission that you present to me. Now, let me go over a few things with you from this week so that as we move forward, you can continue to grow into the brilliant person that you are. A couple of things I want to point out to you. In Module 1, which was from the first week, the course study documents were contained and were to be read and studied. These are the tutorials for EasyBib. When you see in any class, when you go to the university and things and take other classes, when you see an item repeated this many times, it lets you know that that is really important information. Because when you get to a university level, I promise you that if you turn in a paper and you do not have a properly formatted and cited, works cited page, you will be completely stunned by the result. I'm teaching you at this level exactly how to create a perfectly written, formatted EasyBib. If you did not do that, you receive a 0. It's one of those all or nothing things. Go back and study each one of these 4 tutorials. This one shows you how to complete the export of the documents into Word docs, which will always format it correctly. In the My Music, you were to write a thesis statement. Did you study this page on thesis statements? I could easily tell if you did or if you didn't. If the My Music paragraph was not what you wanted it to be, I'd like you to go back and start by watching and reading the information in here about what a thesis statement is. What is point of view? If you used the word you, we, us, our, you were immediately deducted 50%. That page, What is Point of View, contains a tutorial where I literally explain to you the importance of an appropriate point of view. I come down and I discuss with you what I first person is. And then I say, never use second person. Never use third person objective. Always use factual statements or first person statements. Are there some exceptions to that? Yes, and I show you that below, and there is more information below that. Did you study this page? If you studied this page, then I would assume that you would complete My Music without a single error. After that initial point of view, there are 2 more pages to study on point of view for expository essays and point of view for narrative essays. Did you study those? This page on revising essays and the importance for reading what I've written out loud so that I can make sure I know what I'm doing. Qualitative analysis. The great news is you included fantastic images for my music. I was so impressed with those images. The problem is I couldn't see half of them. You made the images so teeny tiny that I couldn't even bring out a magnifying glass to see what those images were. Make sure that you keep the reader in mind when you add any kind of image. Hey, you did really well in quoting your sources. You did really well in citing the quotes that you used. I was very pleased with that. You guys did a really good job on that, and you did a fantastic job in the discussion boards. I will stay on record. You are the best class I have ever seen at the discussion board situation. You do an excellent job. The literary paragraph assignment is an interesting one. On the surface, it seems to be a fairly straightforward, easy assignment. You're going to read a literary paragraph, and then I wanted you to write a short literary paragraph of your own. Now, the difference between a literary paragraph and a more scientific paragraph is that you're going to use alliteration. You're going to use all kinds of wonderful language. And that is why there were study pages that included narrative and descriptive paragraphs, reviewing literary paragraphs and narrative descriptive paragraph choices. These were pages that were to be studied. So if I just look at this page and I see, okay, well, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to read one and I'm going to write one, and I probably don't need to listen to that. And you pass by that and go to the assignment, it can be problematic. And it's problematic because you are not getting out of the assignment what you need for your education. I know how to write literary paragraphs. I don't need to see that. What I need is something where you enjoy the experience. Take your time. Really relish the experience. That was the point of the mixed media assignment, was to take time with your subject matter. Not to try to pull the wool over their eyes, not to try to fool them, not to make them feel silly or foolish, but to take a moment to honor a human being sitting in front of you by holding up a camera and saying, I'm taking pictures of things that I think are beautiful. And then letting that silence hang while they realize that you're talking about them. On the second round, you did a really good job of that, and that's excellent. But I want you to be able to get this on the first take. So slow down. Remember, these are exercises that I have created for you, for your learning. Lauren gave me permission to use her paragraph that she wrote for her image. And I want you to listen to the literary excellence of this statement. It was time to get ready for the first day of school. The clock running faster than before. As I walked into the bathroom, I looked at my reflection to see I was not dressed. Still in my pajamas, I looked down and washed my face, but noticed I could not see myself through the mirror anymore. My hands went through the looking glass, and I began to explore. That is a literary statement. It's full of imagery, it's full of character, and very, very few words. This is exactly what the assignment was measuring. In the announcement that I'm going to post here, right below you will see Maya Angelou. And I would like for you to click on that short poem and see what Maya Angelou did with the concept and the description of a mask. Just as you showed an image of your dog, I showed an image of my dog. We saw the image of a pool of water. Some of you showed images of beaches, things like that. Take a look at what Maya Angelou does with a mask. You think, okay, we're going to describe the mask. It has 2 holes, it has this, has that. Listen and see what she does with that as we move into more appreciation for literary processes. I always believe that before you really can get into and understand literature, it's important to have that foundation of what the components of a piece of literature are. You did a beautiful job of that with my music and looking at the significance of lyrics. Now we're moving on. Y'all, we're moving into flash fiction. I want you to take your time on this assignment. I want you to honor the assignment as something that is going to expand your own skills, your own abilities, your own challenge to see and watch poetry and words in short fiction. The neat thing about flash fiction is that there are so many contests that you can enter a piece of flash fiction. Take time on this. No more racing through here and just flying through and trying to do the assignment and thinking, oh, this is just easy. This is just... These are assignments that are here to bring out all the best in you. I'd like for you to embrace those as such so that we can move forward. Now, if you need to write the My Music essay again, you may do so. You may submit that by this coming Saturday. That gives you time to go back through, polish that, read the instructions. I told you literally exactly how to write the thesis statement for that. Thesis statements are going to get more complicated the more we go along. So be sure you follow all of the directions to the letter. There are some errors that I see repeated, and let me give you something pretty to look at while I talk to you about these repeated errors that I saw numbers of times. Now look at the pretty picture and listen to me tell you some of these repeated problems that are going to become more and more penalized as we go through the semester. Many of you wrote a sentence that started with the words, "This song means a lot to me because." What song? You say, well, it's the song that I was just talking about above. I showed you the lyrics. It doesn't matter. Every sentence should be able to be taken out of context and make perfect sense. And so you want to make sure you structure and craft your sentences and take a look back through them and make sure that everything you have written makes complete sense if it was taken out of context. I marked the use of the word you. The assignment for My Music was to be in the first person. Your personal attachment to a particular song's lyrics. And I saw many, many times people moving into that, you need to, and if you do this, and we're talking to all these people who, and everyone will, and all the people will, and changes will be made. That's not the point of this particular assignment. So be sure you watch out for that. There's a popular phrase out these days. I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm hearing it everywhere. I'm hearing it in scripts. I'm hearing it on the news, and it's the beginning of a sentence that says, "To be honest," or "if I'm honest," or "I'm not going to lie." Right? Have you heard that a lot lately? Okay, that has no place in any kind of writing. Why wouldn't you be honest? Honest people never say "if I'm honest." Honest people are just telling the truth. And so never use "if I'm honest," "I'm not going to lie," anything like that. Now, remember, if you are writing narrative, you're writing a story, and you have a character who has something to lie, that might be the little hitch you give that character, where 3 times in the story they say, well, if I'm honest, right? This is the best way to know if somebody's dishonest, if they say, if I'm honest, because if you weren't honest, then what? Okay, so that was something that was interesting. Lots of extra words. Some of you are writing prepositions are a problem. They're a problem for me too. I had to rewrite 2 sentences the other day because I just couldn't get the prepositions right. Were we under the bridge? Were we over? Were we around? It was just crazy. And I saw a lot of examples of people just adding tons of words that aren't required. So be sure you streamline your content so that everything is clear. In some places, you are, in the literary paragraph, you were telling the reader rather than allowing the reader to discover. Right? So one person just comes to mind, darling description of a snowman. And the snowman is first referred to as dapper. Okay, so now what all words go along with dapper? Pipe. He's holding like a Sherlock Holmes pipe. He has a little carrot nose. Maybe he has on some sort of a hat that would be considered dapper. You see how I can follow that imagery through? That allows my reader to see the image. I'm not telling them. I'm allowing them to reveal. Just like that exercise we just did with you taking the picture of somebody. You allow them to become aware. You allow them to see what you are talking about without you telling them. Imagery is just like that. It's a wonderful tool. And the final thing, when you look over your essay, make sure those images are properly formatted so that I'm going to be able to see them. You can move them around before you save it as a PDF, and once you get them locked into where you want them to be, moved around on the page, and the text is around the image, then save it as a PDF, and that will lock in all those images where you want them to be. I know this went on a little long, but I wanted to make sure I covered all the bases because this is the end of the road. This will be the last time anything can be resubmitted. So be sure that if you need to resubmit my music, you do so. You have until Saturday, and then of course the next assignment is due after that. So take your time on these things. You all enjoy this experience. That's all.